Daniel Cho pressed 1,000 shirts a week for 40 years. Never once let a wrinkle slide. On the night he died, the woman who owned his name nearly got to write his story crooked. His son wouldn't let her. Not this time. Los Angeles Koreatown, a dry cleaning shop the size of a garage, run by a man who came to America in 1979 with 2 suitcases and a piano he could never afford to buy his wife again. Susan Cho had been a real pianist once, the kind teachers whisper about, the kind who gets letters from conservatories. She traded that life for a shipping container and a shop that smelled like starch. Daniel never asked her to. She never fully forgave him for it anyway, which is a particular kind of unfairness only marriages seem capable of. People who lose something big rarely blame the thing that took it. They blame whoever's standing closest when they notice it's gone. By the time their son Michael was 34, Daniel's heart had been failing for 3 years, and Susan had found 100 small ways to make sure everyone in their church community still believed she was the devoted wife holding it all together.
Susan C. is so strong, taking care of Daniel all by herself. Such a good wife.
Michael had stopped correcting people. It took too long, and nobody ever believed him anyway. Michael tried the legal route first, the way people raised to trust systems always do. "It's a civil matter," the woman on the hotline told him. "Financial disputes between spouses aren't something we can intervene in." She said it kindly. That somehow made it worse. So Michael did the only thing left. He asked his father to make him power of attorney. Daniel signed without being asked twice. "I trust you to look out for me." It was the closest thing to "I love you" Daniel Cho had said out loud in 30 years. Some fathers say it plainly. Some say it by handing you a folder and trusting you not to drop it.
"I brought japache." "Susan C., you look thin. You must be so stressed, taking care of him all these..." "Michaela, why are you making that face?"
"No reason, Auntie Yoon." Mrs. Yoon would later become the single most effective piece of evidence Michael never had to produce himself. But that came later. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, hospice began. And in a drawer at the shop Michael hadn't touched since his father got too sick to work, there was a small spiral notebook with his father's handwriting in it. One he wouldn't find until it was already too late to ask what it meant. Michael didn't take his father to Susan's house. He took him to his own. Hospice nurses came twice a day. Mrs. Yoon came every day, unasked, with more food than one dying man and his son could possibly eat. "You're too thin too, Michaela. Eat the japchae. Grief eats muscle. I read this." "That's not... Auntie, that's not a real thing." "Eat anyway." It was the first time Michael had laughed in 11 days. It would not be the last time Mrs. Yoon's bluntness cut through exactly when the story needed air. One night, looking for a fabric receipt to settle a shop debt, Michael found his father's old spiral notebook. 40 years of tickets, notes, prices. And on one page, dated 6 years earlier, in the same careful handwriting his father used for everything. "I know about Pastor Kim's brother. I have known for a long time. I am not writing this because I am angry. I am writing it so that if I ever cannot say it myself, I forgave her before she asked. Michael does not need to carry this. Let him remember his mother as she could have been, not only as she was." Michael sat with that page for a long time. "I thought I knew exactly what I was going to do when he died. I thought I had it planned to the sentence. I did not expect my father to have already forgiven the thing I was about to punish her for." The funeral home needed her consent to cremate him. She withheld it, until Michael reminded her she'd get the survivor benefits regardless. She agreed within the hour. Some patterns don't break just because someone dies. Then came the obituary, and this was the part Michael had rehearsed in his head for 3 years. The moment he'd finally get to write his mother out of his father's story the way she tried to write his father out of her life for the last decade of it. I sat there with the cursor blinking on survived by his wife, and for the first time in 3 years of planning this exact moment, I didn't know what to write. Because now he knew something his mother didn't know he knew. His father had already forgiven her, had written it down 6 years ago, specifically so Michael wouldn't carry a fight that wasn't his to finish. Michael sat with that for a long time. He thought about revenge and how satisfying it would have felt 3 days earlier. He thought about his father's handwriting, steady even at the end, choosing peace over being right. There's a particular kind of strength, Michael realized, in a man who could forgive the person hurting him and still never once excuse what she did. Those aren't the same thing. His father had known that. Michael was only just learning it. He didn't erase her, but he didn't lie for her either. You Didn't Show is survived by his son, Michael, who cared for him at home through his final months, and who carries forward his father's quiet insistence that a life well lived speaks for itself. No mention of Susan as devoted wife. No mention of her at all as anything. Just a silence where a sentence used to automatically go, and in a community that reads obituaries the way other people read newspapers, silence said everything Michael didn't have to write down. Word moved through Koreatown the way it always does. Quietly, at church, over banchan nobody remembers bringing. Nobody said the word exploitation out loud at the funeral. Korean aunties rarely need to say the word for everyone to understand exactly what happened. I brought extra japchae for the ones who actually visited him. She said it directly to Susan's face. Susan said nothing back. It was, by Koreatown church standards, a complete and devastating sentence. Susan Cho was not publicly ruined. She kept her survivor benefits, her church seat, her pearl earrings. Nobody filed a lawsuit. Nobody printed her name in a headline. She simply became, slowly and without ceremony, a woman people were polite to and stopped fully trusting, which in a close community, Michael would learn, is its own kind of sentence, quieter and longer than any court could hand down. Michael would say, years later, that he never got the satisfaction he thought he wanted. What he got instead was something steadier. The truth, told carefully instead of thrown like a stone, doesn't need to destroy someone to matter. It just needs to be heard by the people who deserve to hear it in the first place. He took over the shop, kept the same machine, kept his father's old blue marking pen clipped into his own pocket without ever quite deciding to. His father spent 40 years never complaining, never raising his voice, and somehow still making sure the truth got told exactly once, exactly right, at exactly the moment it mattered most. Michael understood, finally, that this wasn't weakness. It was a different kind of strength. The kind that doesn't need anyone to lose in order for it to have won. The griot's job is to remember, to make sure these stories are never forgotten, and to remind you, the truest thing you can leave behind isn't the last word. It's whether you told it with a steady hand.